Hey, hello, this is Shao at the podcast Thrive Not Survive After Abuse with episode 90. Yeah, we're approaching the 100. You probably have heard of the expression, you don't see the world as the world is, but you see the world as you are. Right? And what does that mean? It means that, it's to a large extent, if not to all the extents, we see the circumstances that we are in, or the world, or the people, or a situation that you are in the way how you are. And that could be a general state, but it could also be the state of that moment. And in previous podcasts, I addressed a little bit of the moods that we can be in. Remember how I told you that I used to be, well, maybe sometimes I still am, used to be very grumpy. When you're grumpy and wake up, actually you see the world a little bit more grumpy. You believe that other people are out there to get you or something, which is absolutely not true, of course. I always say you're not that important that everyone wants to get you, but it looks like it sometimes, right? So sometimes if I go to, excuse me, maybe it's a joke, but maybe it's true, I always believe that there are more angry people in Walmart than in another supermarket, which is also a mindset, by the way. But I see all these angry people and I always think, what are the people so angry about, Just put a smile on your face and the world looks a lot more brighter than it is. The weather today is very un-Dallas-like. Normally we have a lot of sun and you might hear a little bit of wind. I'm sorry for that. But there you go. Then you could say, oh man, the world is so nasty outside, but you could still smile, right? So we see the world more as we are than as the world is, right? And it's not only a good saying, it's actually a really good thing that you can use as a practical tool and skill, right? So I'm not saying that we can make the whole world immediately a better place by looking at it differently, but you can make your own circumstances and the world around you a lot better if you look at it differently, right? And it starts with a very simple thing like putting a smile on your face. There has been a research done, I think it was the University of Berkeley, and they took one of the yearbooks, and I don't know why these behavioral psychologists came to that idea, but they were investigating the impact on people's life of smiling, right? Now, how do you know if you know that someone is always smiling and another person is not, right? Well, what they found out is that there was an assumption in there, and they started to prove that, is the people in the yearbook, all the people who had a smile on their face, and they kind of followed it. So they took a class back from somewhere in the 60s, I believe, and they followed how their career path and their life path went. And significantly, the numbers were too big to call it a coincidence, so there's a bigger probability in there. Because all the people that were not smiling and had grumpy faces, actually they had a worse life and a worse career than all the other people who actually were on the picture with a smiling face, right? It was very significant, so you can take that as a true story or not. Well, the research is true, but you can read in it from whatever you want. But when everyone knows, if you walk with a smile through a shopping mall, people will smile you back. You look at the floor, you're grumpy, you're more likely to bump into someone and get an angry face back, right? Now, it is true with a lot of things, right? If you have to do a daunting task, right? If you just go to the mirror, I can promise you, put a smile on your face, right? And then step out and do it. It will help you a lot, right? Is that maybe a little bit naive way of looking at everything? I think not. I think not. It is also, from a chemical balance point of view in yourself. When you smile, there are a lot of endorphins and so on will be released in your body. So a lot of things change. It's not only your face that changes, and it's not only an outer projection. It is like actually, yeah, even if you don't feel like it, sometimes we don't feel so good about it and we don't want to smile. I can tell you, if you smile, your inner start to change too. And if you reflect your inner, if you're truly happy with a smile, then your outer change too. And hence, I come back, the world starts to look a lot more beautiful and different when you do that. So, again, the world is often not the way the world is. The world is the way we see the world is. And that brings us to the following point, and I've addressed that before. So often we don't react to a situation the way the situation is, but we react to the situation how we are and the things that we have done and seen in the past, right? So you want to snap out of that, you do the same thing, right? Can you really stop and really look for the things that are really true? So someone, and that someone is called Dean Graziosi, his dad taught him the following thing, right? He was once in a car accident with the car of his dad. He came home, and Dean was thinking like, oh my gosh, this will be so horrible, my dad will be so angry and stuff like that, because that's kind of the normal thing to do for most people, right? They get angry, see what you did to my car. The dad said, of course, the dad asked, how are you doing? He said, fine. And the dad stopped there. So Dean says, are you not angry? Well, the dad said, I hope you learned your lesson, but it's only a car. We insure it, and it's only a thing. So there's no use to spend more time with it. I hope you learned your lesson. I know you're a responsible guy, so you probably have learned your lesson. Years and years later, Dean got fender bended from the back. He got rear-ended by a car. And the woman who did that, and he had a brand new car, right? It's a true story. You can ask Dean Graziosi if you know him. And the woman who did that, she stepped out of her car and she was like almost in tears, and she was full apologetic and said, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad. And she was almost in panic. And Dean said, don't worry about it. It's just a car. Right? Don't worry about it. It's just a car. And the woman felt so helped, because she felt helpless, she felt stupid, she felt bad about herself. And that little instance, just to see the things as they are, and not because we put so much values on things, changed actually, maybe not the whole woman's life, but changed her perspective, because Dean brought forward what his dad taught him, to say, hey, it's just a thing and it can be solved. No one is hurt here, no reason to be angry. I'm sure you didn't do it on purpose, and so on. So it's not only a nice saying, we see the world not as the world is, but as we are, but it's definitely a way to turn around and say, okay, how am I then? How do I look at the world, and can I look more positive at the world, so that the world starts to look more positive at me? All right, so this was Sean with another podcast, another episode in the podcast Thrive, Not Survive After Abuse. I'll hope to hear you back when we are, getting to the number 100, and that's tomorrow, of course. Bye-bye.